Hello, everybody. Welcome to Government Secrets. We'll bring Leon in a quick second. I'm just enjoying a delicious vegan smoothie, unsweetened organic almond milk, a mixed berry blend, frozen like greens, spinach, kale, and the like, vegan protein powder, and some unsweetened organic peanut butter. It tastes fantastic. I did yoga this morning. I love it. Hit the like button, everybody. Thank you for watching on Facebook, Rockfin, and on the YouTube. Share this out on your social media. Man, that's good. Oh, man. All right. Got everything situated. Everyone can hear and see all right. And then great way to support the show is go to rockfin.com/Elwood and sign up and do the tips. All right. We got an action-packed Gov Seeks today, folks. Let's bring on the co-host, Lee Camp.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. It's just a pity. It's been 7 days since I talked to you. I mean, that's honestly, it's been pretty draining to go that long.
It is draining to go that long without talking with each other.
I'm hoping that one of the main government secrets we get into today, maybe we can make a topic one, is the government's efforts to cover up the scourge of celebrity camel toe. They've really been working hard to cover that up. And luckily, the Young Turks have been there to reveal celebrity camel toes. But
it's important. I mean, Young Turks is doing great work. And I love watching a channel with 3 million subscribers get like a third of Jimmy's live views, who's only got 800,000 subscribers. It's my favorite thing to see. Just like he's getting 10,000 people watching him live. They're streaming at the same time and they're getting 3,000 people.
Well, that's clearly because they cut celebrity camel toe. I mean, that's why people were tuning in. We all know it.
It's great stuff. I mean, they really got their fingers on the pulse of what's going on in independent media. How do you create this?
They got their fingers somewhere.
I don't know how you create this thing that we all went, man, Cenk is a genius. That was so awesome what he's doing. We all want to be a part of it. And then he goes, I'm going to nosedive the very thing I created and become the very thing I was yelling against.
Yeah. It's bizarre. You know, I don't know. The ruling elite just chipped away at him till they. You know what it is? If you turn someone around and face them the other direction all at once, they go, "Whoa, what are you doing?" But if you slowly turn them around over like 5 years, you can get them to walk the opposite direction. And they won't know it.
That's a great point. That's a great point. They just slowly get them to walk the opposite direction. They just put down some cones, say this area is under construction for a sec, but we'll get you back on track. And then before you know it, you're walking in reverse and you have no idea. And literally you're putting your pants on backwards. So it makes sense to you that you're walking in reverse, but you don't know it.
I mean, but the thing that gets me is just the hypocrisy. I mean, I've seen Cenk have a vicious camel toe. So it's just hypocritical is all. That's all that bugs me.
When did they cover this whole, when was Camel Toe Gate? Camelgate? Is this?
Have you not seen the videos that Jimmy's been posting? They used to have a segment called Celebrity Camel Toe or Spot the Celebrity Camel Toe. That is like, it's before I was ever on. I never saw this, but someone went into the archives, which these were still up on YouTube. And it's him and Anna, so it's both of them, showing pictures of celebrity camel toe. And like the whole segment is like, can you tell which celebrity's camel toe this is? And it's the most cringeworthy thing I've ever seen in my life.
Like, here's the thing. Like, Cenk, in his own hubris, said, I'm going to call Jimmy unhinged and a grifter. And it's like, oh, buddy, you have opened up Pandora's box. You see all these old clips. I saw him another one talking about like somebody having sex with a horse or something. And I'm like, wow, who knew Cenk was actually a sex creep? Like he's a weirdo or something. Like he couldn't, I don't know what it is, but he brings up all this old creep footage of him saying all these weird, sexy, and like the fact that Anna, like that, the fact that she's going, oh yeah, let's look at who's like she's a woman is participating in this. It shows you that
the clip I saw like one clip and one clip that I didn't click on, and she's the one leading it. like it looked like it was her segment.
Well, it's not. None of this surprises me because honestly, this is an Armenian woman that went on a network. I didn't even know what the Young Turks meant because the Armenian genocide has been so hidden from us.
Right.
And it was only a couple years ago that it was explained to me. Young Turks would be like a Jewish person going on the Gestapo network or something like that. And
yeah, and I knew the term the Young Turks, meaning like, oh, these brash young guys that kind of take over. So I knew that usage of it. But I also did not, really know.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was when I first heard of it. I thought it was just that like, oh, those young upstart. That's what I thought a Young Turk was. Just like, I didn't know the history was like, oh no, they're the ones that like led the genocide.
Right.
And unreal like this. So it's kind of like disappointing. Well, not disappointing is the greatest understatement in the world, but it feels like, what's the word I want? I mean, I kind of feel like me personally. So like TYT we were all bamboozled from the get-go. Like I just, I haven't been watching their stuff religiously for the last 10 years or however long they've been doing it. I just kind of, when I started paying more attention in 2016 and I was been longtime friends with Jimmy and he was like, started doing his YouTube show and he's like, hey man, you want to come on Aggressive Progressives? I was like, oh, this is awesome. The first time I went over them, like this facility is amazing. Like I want something like this.
And Aggressive Progressives was awesome.
Right.
So yeah,
it was a great show. And I was on it. I was on it numerous times with Jimmy and Steve O and Malcolm even. And I was like, this show is great. When the first show I ever did Aggressive Progressives on, Jimmy was talking to a Palestinian and a Jewish guy who were in Gaza saying it's wrong, what's happening. And I was like, no one else is doing this. And I was like, literally like my comedy buddy, Jimmy is really covering this like hard hitting news that nobody else is doing. I'm like, this is important work. And then just watch them. And they keep doubling down thinking everyone's going to back them and they're not. I mean, that's what's just like,
it's bizarre. I mean, and I don't really understand it. I don't understand where they're coming from or what they hope to achieve, but.
And going after Aaron Matei.
Yeah.
Like that is like, I mean, going after Aaron Matei. I mean, who are you going to go after next? Glenn Greenwald? Like, what are you going to like?
There's probably a clip of them going after Glenn Greenwald. that probably exists out there. I'm sure.
Is this Glenn Greenwald's camel toe? Yeah. Like, what's their?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, welcome to Government Secrets, episode 45. Lee Carpet Crab Elwood, going over celebrity camel toes.
The reason the clips are so cringeworthy is because they kind of consider themselves a news channel. I think they have over the years, and so to see just like 10 straight minutes of like, we've spotted Kim Kardashian's camel toe is like the most. It's like. It's not even, I mean, you can make a joke. I'm sure there's a joke, like a punchline, not like a 5-minute bit, but like the end of a line probably of some part of my stand-up has probably mentioned a celebrity camel toe. But this is like showing images of a celebrity and being like, let's zoom in and show, graphic images of their crotch. And it's just like, are you trying to be Howard Stern or what is this?
Yeah, I know. I thought, oh, wow, that's like, That's cringeworthy for like late night talk show comedy. That'd be like, whoa, did you see what Fallon is doing? Like, really? Like, I would be like, that's crossing the line. But now a channel that calls themselves a news source, an independent news source, it's amazing to watch. I mean, it's like they're gonna be irrelevant, like, or they're just gonna have a bunch of vote any blue will do people watching them thinking I'm getting the real news, just like Rachel Maddow or something. That's the audience they want to go after or something. It's
but if you want Rachel, I mean, we don't have to. We can go in this for an hour. But if you want to get Rachel Maddow viewers, be Rachel Maddow. Like, it's like, why wouldn't the viewers of Rachel Maddow just go to her for the fucking, fucking brain parasite bullshit? Like, no, I want a less produced YouTube version of the same shit I get on MSNBC. Any moment I turn it on, any second I could turn on the TV and have a more highly produced version where they actually have on the politicians they're talking about. And instead, I'm going to go to YouTube, get all the same shit, but lower level, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It honestly does. And here's the thing: is I don't watch them that much, so I wasn't sure exactly what they were doing. But I just looked at like the titles of all their videos, and it's 70 to this day. It's 70% about Trump. Like 70% of the stories uploaded there about Trump. And I'm like, he's not president anymore, and you can get that on MSNBC. So what are you doing?
And it's like, that's the thing. Like, people will come to my show. Clearly, I'm way less produced than MSNBC, but they're like, well, at least he's telling us the truth. I'm giving you my honest opinion, and I'm covering stuff that either they're not covering, or I'm giving an angle that nobody else is covering. That's what you do on your show. But why would you come watch a guy sit in front of a fucking TV in his apartment, wearing a shirt he bought at Ross, telling you that everything's Russia's fault?
Hey, I got some fine shirts there.
So do I. But let's be honest. This is not. I mean, look at it. This is not MSNBC. This is a guy. This is like a dad that's like having a barbecue. I mean, like, this is
next. What are you going to go after the dollar store? All right. I just got my water wings there for summer. Okay, I was getting prepared for summer. I just got them.
We're going to uncover the truth about water wings in this episode, and how the CIA has used them.
The nice thing is at the dollar store, the water wings, they come with a pack of Spree, and I don't know why. they're just saran wrapped together, but all that for $1, it's a good deal. I don't understand the connection, but it's a good deal.
Speaking of low production value, I can't get this dumb earpiece to work, so I've had to unplug it, and I'm listening to it on a speaker. I don't know what the fuck is wrong. This has been like a 2-week dilemma, and I'm sick of it.
2 weeks.
And it's like, when I'm just talking to someone like this, I can do it. But like, somebody said they think this is episode 45, not 46. So I said it wrong.
Jesus, not the episode issue again.
God damn it. We forgot to check.
I have this as 45.
Well, since Trump was our 45th president, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do a 45. No, all right. I'll edit the name right now. I'm sorry. God damn
it. See, we told you we weren't well produced. There you go, folks. We're proving ourselves. That's what we're doing.
This is what you get for coming to YouTube. But at least, all right, there we go.
All those highfalutin shows with their interns telling them what number episode it is. Look at us. We know what number it is. Bullshit.
Yeah, I have an assistant that I barely pay anything, and so they text me and go, "What time's the show today?" Normally they would be reminding me, but this is how we do it on YouTube. It's just like, hey, what time is this thing today? I think I texted you this morning. Was like, we're going at 6, right? Eastern. Is that when we're going to do it?
Yeah. I never know. Usually a couple hours before the show starts, I'll get a text from you saying, "Are we doing it today?" Yeah, I think we are.
Literally, no joke. I got out of yoga class and you're like, hey, do you want to cover this topic? And I was like, oh, that sounds like a fantastic idea, man. That sounds fucking awesome. Oh, I'm totally into that. Yeah, totally.
From what I gather, that's the second time you mentioned yoga. So about 75% of your day is yoga. And then half hour government secrets.
Yeah, maybe 15 minutes. And then the rest of the time is surfing. So yeah, this show takes a lot of my emotional breath to do.
I know, but we're trying to get you through it.
It's like, man, if I wasn't funny, I'd be the worst guy to deal with. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing that's carried me throughout my whole life is like just funny enough to not really get annoyed to hate him. Like just like, all right, well, we'll let it go.
I don't think it's quite that bad. I think it's also the shirts with the pockets on the shoulders. There's many things that you bring to the table, Graham.
Another shirt purchased at Ross. I shop there almost exclusively.
Are they funding this show to the tune of tens of dollars?
They're an indirect sponsor in that they just save my clothing budget by me buying $14 shirts that would normally cost $40. So that's how they help.
That's how they sponsor the show, giving you a discount. That reminds me of the Doug Stanhope joke where he was doing stand up and afterwards someone asked him if the job has benefits, and he's like, yeah, there's benefits. After the show, sometimes a random girl will blow me and I take the money I've saved and I pay for my own dental.
Oh God, that's fantastic. How is Doug Stanhope still alive?
I mean, has anyone talked to his liver recently? Because it's a miracle.
I mean, and I love Doug. He's great. And he's probably wakes up every morning going, really? I'm still all right. Wow. All right. I'm just like,
it's quite possible.
All right, buddy, let's get into segment 1 of government secrets.
All right, we ended up with a kind of theme episode here, which is good. This is the 50th. This week is the 50th anniversary of the war on drugs.
Yes.
And, I mean, celebratory it's festive. I have party poppers, which I got at the dollar store. They came together with a bra. I don't know why, but it was just saran wrapped together. You get a discount, but I got party poppers for.
It's such a thing to celebrate because we could be celebrating, hey, 50 years ago, this government decided to end poverty and now it's gone. We've eradicated poverty in the United States. But instead, we declared war on drugs. It's really great. And
which is by definition a war on our own people. So we will get into the government secret origin of the war on drugs in a moment, I guess. And unless you wanted to do that first.
No, I think it ties in.
Okay. We'll save that for a surprise at the end, the secret origins of the war on drugs. But the war on drugs has been one of the main reasons, and Joe Biden factors into this as well, that we have the largest prison state in the world. We mentioned that before. You're so thrilled. This is the most excited I've seen you for a topic.
Well, because the thing where I go, oh God, this country's so awful. I'm just flipping a script on that. And I'm just going to be like, yes, every time when there's some like, we're the worst. We're number one in this horrible category. I'm going to just, I'm
not sure if that counts as better emotional stability, but it's something. It'll help.
It's just from a high blood pressure standpoint or something like that. Maybe it's just better in that sense, just from a stress level. So if I just give my body, it would do a lot of good if you flipped on CNN every day and you were just like, yes, that's so awesome. We're bombing who? I'm rock hard. This is just exciting. They're not covering this story again. Awesome. While they're And then TYT is doing camel toes rather than talking about El Salvador adopting Bitcoin, which is revolutionary. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a great plan. So the world's largest prison state is what we have. And so I thought this would be a good time to go through 13 facts about our prison state that, the American prison system that are mind-blowing and that most people don't know. And I'm getting this from an article I wrote, which is not, it sources everything else. So it's that I'm not just getting it from me. It's not just, it's not a circle jerk here. This is, I got it, the facts from other people, but I put it together in an article. I did part of the work. So
I did part of the work. That's okay. I did part of the work. Okay. So I took a bunch of people's hard work and I just kind of painted it together and claimed it as my own. So I don't want to hear any nonsense.
Exactly. And everyone can see my grabbing of other people's work at SheerPost. I'll tweet that out after the show so you guys can go check it out. But so number one, let's get into these. Number one, America holds 22% of the world's prisoners, and we have 4% of the world's population. So 22% of the fucking world's prisoners, 2.3 million people out of a global total of 9 million prisoners. The U.S. is the largest prison state. I said that. So this gets interesting. I know it's a couple of numbers, but if you think about them, it's pretty incredible. We have 698 prisoners per 100,000 in America, per capita, per 100,000. According to a report published by Institute of Criminal Policy Research, the next closest country is, sorry, I know they're good on Bitcoin, but El Salvador at 572 per 100,000. Okay, so we're killing them. Even the next one, we're killing them. Go ahead.
Is it now because there's 590 per 100,000 people? Now, is this like, do we get to like, should we get Americans should get like a certificate in the mail saying this prisoner represents you or whatever? You're like, how you can buy a star in the galaxy and claim it as yours or whatever.
Adopt a prisoner. Yeah, we should have adopt a prisoner, and they have to wear your name around. It's like an ad. It's like a walking billboard.
Or like a sister city thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, people might think more about prisoners if you had a sister or brother prisoner. It's true.
America is not a sick, twisted, demented place at all. It's not a horrific fucking death cult of a disaster at all. It's the best. This is I'm so proud we're number one in this category.
I'm just happy to see you happy, Graham. So 600, we're at 698 per 100,000. El Salvador is 572. Some other countries of note: Rwanda has 511 per 100,000. Russia has 331. So already Russia's half us per capita. China has 121 per 100,000. So far, far, far lower than us. And yet we're being told that we should put sanctions on China because they don't treat people right. Meanwhile, we have far more humans in cages.
I love the American hypocrisy. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like no country has the audacity to accuse a country of doing something that they're doing on a much less scale than America's. Like, America is literally a guy that runs a meth lab, has face tattoos, and is a meth addict, and then tells the guy who's drinking a little too much, hey, man, you might want to go to AA. Like, that's who America is. It's just like selling poison. People are ODing and dying. We're destroying communities with our meth. We're like, hey, man, easy on the drinking.
Hey, you heard Biden's speech this week. Could you imagine if the United States intervened in other countries' elections? I mean, could you imagine the outcry if that were to happen?
It's, and they say this like with a straight face. Like I mean, do they,
in his defense, Biden might be the first president where I'm okay with it. Cause I'm like, he may not know. He may not know where he is, what country he's talking about. Like with all the other presidents, the exception of maybe Reagan, it was like they were so blatantly lying to us. With Biden, I don't know that he knows anything.
And they're not even covering up his dementia the way they did with Reagan. They're just like, yeah, like they're literally having somebody hold up a puppet going, I'm the president. And we're all just buying it. And if you sometimes you bring up like, hey, Biden is showing cognitive decline, some dumb Gen Xer, that's my generation of vote any blue will do morons on Facebook will go, Graham, that's not fair. And what does that have to do with him? What does it have to do? The commander in chief doesn't know where he is, and he's demonstrating cognitive decline. So that means who is actually running the country, not someone that was elected. I don't know. So our whole democracy is a scam. Maybe is that a thing to bring up?
Yeah, no, they either act like you're involved in some kind of conspiracy theory, or that's ageism to discuss the fact that Biden doesn't know fucking where he is. Like, no, that's kind of important if he's going to lead things. But yeah, but it goes to show the American president doesn't actually make most of these decisions. So he's just a showpiece in a lot of ways. So in that way, I guess it doesn't matter as much. So, all right, number 2, we have this belief or this idea in America, and this is how I grew up, thinking prisons are just a fact of life. They're everywhere, and it's just how things work. There are bad guys in this world, and they need to be in prisons, and so fact of life. But we already discussed that it's actually, there's far fewer people in them in other countries. But also, prisons are a relatively new thing in the scope of human history. Like, large prisons were not a thing in America or really anywhere in the world until the 1800s. The earliest penitentiary in America was Walnut Street Prison in Philadelphia, opened in 1773. Even in Europe, like, yes, they had a few dungeons. I'm not going to act like people weren't imprisoned, but it was a few people usually. There were no jails holding millions or even thousands of people. Prisons are like, they're kind of like, nuclear weapons or nipple clamps. Like, we've gone basically the entire human history without them, and now we can't imagine a minute without them. We just think all is lost if they aren't there.
I'm sorry. We're putting nipple clamps on the same page as nuclear weapons. I just want to, as a guy that's never used a nipple clamp, am I outside looking in on this? Is there like a whole nipple clamp community that I'm missing?
Graham, Graham, you're the exception, because since you have both nipples pierced, you don't need the clamps.
To show you where I stand, just saying nipple pierce makes me like I could never pierce anything. Like, just hearing that makes me go, oh my God. Like, if a girl was,
I'm with you on that.
I had dated girls like, oh, I used to have pierced nipples. I'd be like, I don't ever want to see it. I don't ever want to, I can't do it. So
you're keeping your shirt on from here on out. Yeah.
I really don't want to see that. And I don't, and even if I was dating a girl that's like, I've got a couple atomic warheads, I'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to see those at all. Like, we don't need those at all. And I'd still hold my boobs. Anyway, sorry, you were saying something.
Quite all right. Sorry to throw you off with nipple clamps. So I'll give you a warning next time. Trigger warning.
Absolutely, give me a nipple clamp trigger warning.
All right, number 3, prisons and, I know this is going to blow your mind, capitalism go hand in hand. What? Angela Davis makes the point in her book, Are Prisons Obsolete?, that the exponential growth of prisons correlated with the rise of industrial capitalism, which began around the 1830s. Once a person's worth was measured in their labor hours, taking that away from them could be viewed as punishment. Furthermore, even though prisoners became common during the 1800s and 1900s, America didn't become the world's largest prison state until the 1980s. Ronald Reagan and the racist drug war truly are gifts that keep on giving. They played a big role in that. But before the 19th century, there were other punishments for breaking the laws. And I'm not going to act like, whipping a guy is a great thing. But if a guy steals something and literally you were to give him an option between 10 years in prison or getting whipped, I think most of them are going to pick the whipping, because that's not going to destroy their lives. Whereas 10 years in prison Like, it fucking destroys everything about your life. And we have people in prison today in America for things like stealing candy bars. I mean, it does exist. So it's just insane. Go ahead.
Can we change the title of the show to Government Secrets, why capitalism is the root cause of everything horrible in this world? Like, it's really, I've said it for numerous times on my show. I'm sure you've said it on your show. I'm like, if we went to more, if everybody had free education, free college education, free healthcare, and everybody's basic needs were met, we had no homeless people. I always ask the question, how much crime would we have? Why would you need to steal if all of your basic needs were taken care of? Would there be some criminals? Sure. A handful of, yes, but we wouldn't need a multi-billion-dollar prison industry.
You'd have a tiny number of criminals compared to what we're facing. And of course, the thing, I'm not going to get into it in this episode, but is the way we view crime is the word crime, the idea of crime is set up to benefit the ruling elite. We don't really, when we say criminals, we don't talk much about Wall Street. We don't, and even when we say white collar crime, it's kind of like a side category. When in fact, if you look at like dollar amounts, white collar crime, or the things that are legal that are clearly just exploiting and stealing from Americans, is a billion times more than street crime. So the term crime, most people use it to be like a guy running up and punching you in the face and stealing your wallet. But that is a tiny, tiny percentage of actual crime. It's just, we're talking about it in a way that benefits the ruling elite.
Well, let's also talk about this. It's not just the white, again, that white collar crime sounds like, somebody stole a library book. It sounds like that. And why they're always given little slaps on the wrist and they go to white collar, day camp prison or whatever is, and not only do we not talk about the economic impact, obviously they've stolen millions, billions of dollars in some cases. They've actually, in many cases, hurt more people's lives than the one guy that punches the other person and steals their bag or whatever. Like, not that the guy that punches someone and steals their bag or wallet or purse shouldn't be punished to some degree, but he shouldn't do a life term in sentence. And that one event, it's awful for that one victim, of course. But I mean, look at what Wall Street did to the housing. 6 million foreclosures. That was 6 million families.
And the way I describe it, because to try and get people to understand this, is if you were to walk up and burn down someone's house, like, that'd be a massive crime and you'd serve a lot of time likely. And what is the difference between that and a bank stealing your home when they can't even prove most of the time that they have the paperwork? And even if they can prove it, they got it through predatory lending, tricking people into taking out these loans. If you steal someone's house, what is the fucking difference to them and their family than to it being burned down? There is no difference. Yet one we're told to call violence and the other we're told to call business.
Hey, that's just good. Yeah. So the guy who burns the house down, what if we just flipped it? Well, hey man, it's just good business. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane. And not to mention, we could go on and on about this, just the corporate crimes. Look at the opioid epidemic. That was pushed by the pharmaceutical companies. Some of them have gotten fines. Purdue got a $500 million fine, which is literally like you and I getting fined $100. It's nothing.
Purdue is like going out of business, or they were forced to sell it or whatever, but the Sacklers are still ridiculously wealthy and they won't serve a day in jail. So them losing their company, what does it matter?
What does it matter? And look at I'm literally millions of lives destroyed, not just from the actual opioid. And it's like somebody like gets in a car accident and they crash on their bike and they get addicted to opioids because the doctors were paid by companies like Purdue to push it. And
they were paid and they were lied to. They were told most doctors were told these are not addictive at all.
Right. Yeah. The doctors were lied to. Some of the doctors were complicit, but most of the doctors were lied to. And then the person, this is that HBO series Mayor of Easttown. It's just sort of a subplot, and that like somebody gets, and you watch, there's documentaries about it. The person gets hooked on opioids. Oh, guess what happens? Then crime goes up. Their families they steal from their family. The prostitution, like there's these 23-year-old girls that got hooked on opioids, and now they're on these online apps or whatever, prostituting themselves. They've destroyed families' lives, children's lives. I mean, they've ruined, not only have they directly killed the people that have OD'd, but all of the chaos. When someone becomes a serious drug addict, there is a fucking tsunami of chaos around anyone near them. And the Sackler family, they should be doing life in prison. I mean, they should be in prison for life and all of their assets seized and given to all the families who were negatively impacted by the opioid epidemic. But one guy, smokes a plant and he's in jail because he's black for 15, 20 years or whatever. Yeah. I'm back to fuck this country. I can't even do the cheer bit.
You lasted 20 minutes. You lasted 20 minutes on the rah, rah, rah America boat. But,
and then it got
all right.
Anyway.
No, and don't worry, these get shorter as I go on, so we'll be all right. Number 4, prisons are really like slavery 2.0. Not just because of the racist implications, but like most of us can't imagine a society without human cages. We just think that has to be. But there have been other institutions in America's past that seemed crucial, and not no one, but most people could not imagine a world without them. One of those, obviously, being slavery. And it turned out, wait for it, we could have a world without slavery. Another good example is chamber pots. It turns out that shitting in a soup bowl next to your bed was not the best way to do it. But there are these like we all think we cannot progress past a certain point until we do.
Shitting in a soup bowl next to your bed. I hope that's the name of your next album. And no, it is true. You make a great point because there was, we couldn't live in a world without the Pony Express. This doesn't make sense. What do you mean? Like we couldn't, a horseless carriage. That sounds insane. Like on and on and on and on and on. We could say this. Again, owning slaves was just, everybody does that. That's just the thing that happens. They were slaves,
Yeah.
Too bad. Guess they got dealt a bad hand. And now it's preposterous to think of that.
And so here's another way, number 5 on the list, that the prisons are slavery 2.0. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution ended slavery and also legalized it. The 13th Amendment has a massive loophole that reads, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. And that exception has impacted millions upon millions of lives. And Angela Davis wrote in her book, Southern states hastened to develop, this is after slavery ended, Southern states hastened to develop a criminal justice system that could legally restrict the possibilities of freedom for newly released slaves. Black people became the prime targets of a developing convict lease system referred to by many as the reincarnation of slavery. Authorities often declared unlawful anyone who was guilty of theft, had run away from a job, apparently, was drunk, was wanton in conduct or speech, had neglected a job, family, or handled money carelessly, and all other idle and disorderly persons. So basically, black folks, right after slavery, found themselves imprisoned for behaviors that aren't illegal and that white people obviously partake in all the time. Most of my friends are regularly idle. It's like their defining characteristic. And, how many white people are careless with money? So they would be grabbed up off the streets, black people, for these nothing crimes, non-crimes. And then they get put into the convict lease system, which many have described as worse than slavery because the owners that would use them for labor didn't even care whether the people lived or not because they just get a new one. Whereas with slavery, they viewed it as their property, so they didn't want to kill them. But with convict lease, it was even more horrific.
America, its racism, its systemic racism is the thing that is holding this country back. With no two ways about it. If we could get over that, and mainly all these white people that are always afraid and crazy and, they got, there's white genocide happen, or whatever their crazy crap is. If they could learn to coexist, America could be this amazing place. But it doesn't want to be. It wants to stay, and it holds itself. It's that famous quote, I think by Langston Hughes: "You can't hold a man down without staying down there yourself." And that's what America's doing. When you hold groups of people down, you stay down there yourself. It's like, you think, I'm holding this guy down. You're stuck down there too. You're not going anywhere fun. It's like a prison guard. You show your paint, you're going, that's you. These prisoners can't leave. You can, and you're choosing to, you want to work in a prison every day?
Right. And the PTSD of being around such abuse all the time, even if you weren't partaking in it. Obviously most of them do partake in it, but it's it destroys you as a human.
You watch all this abuse, and so either you become numb to it if you're not partaking in it, or you partake in it, and then you basically just corrode your own soul.
You become the monster you're supposedly imprisoning.
Yeah, I don't want to create these monsters. How are you any different? Like, how are you any different?
Right.
And no one sees that.
So the next one is, and we've mentioned this some on the show before, the prison labor continues today. Sometimes it's like sewing "Made in America" labels on clothing that wasn't made in America. The firefighters, like half of the firefighters in California are prison laborers making, $1 an hour or something. And then when they get out of there, they're not even allowed to be firefighters. State officials generally claim such programs are different from the Convict lease program. And they claim it's different in the same way like people claim firecracker pops and bomb pops are different. They're the same fucking thing. All right. I know sugar water and Red 40 when I taste it. All right. There's really no difference. These people, and they claim, it's a choice to work in prison. It's like, no, it's really not. They've got immense force on them, like whether it's getting out of prison, because those firefighters get to be outside. So, wow, that's a great benefit. Either I get to be abused in a cell or I get to be outside. Yeah, I'm going to choose outside. That's not real choice. They're running from violence. That's not a real choice. And then to earn the money, so many of them are doing this because literally $1 an hour or less is useful because they're charged for all kinds of things while they're in prison, like a toothbrush and all that shit. So, and phone calls can often be really expensive, or FaceTime calls and shit like that. So, yeah, it's economic force just like anything else.
Well, and let's also point out, because what happened last fall in California, California had another record-breaking wildfire season. They're on pace. It's going to happen again. California is under immense drought. It's normally this time of year, there's been at least 15 inches of rainfall. Typically, there's only been about 5. This is just in LA County. So we're going into the summer when it never rains. It never rains in Southern California in the summer. So come fall, we're going to have more fires. And what happened last fall, thanks to, people like Kamala Harris, there was a shortage of firefighters, and all of these released prisoners who worked putting out fires could not get hired. So they served their time. Yeah. They got out on good behavior. Part of their good behavior was they were firefighters, and now they can't even get hired. So we had a shortage of firefighters to put out these awful fires that destroy people's lives and homes and all of that. And guess what? It's the middle of June. There's already some fires that have started. It's going to happen in another 2-3 months of drought.
Yeah,
this is going to happen again, and there's going to be a shortage of firefighters because California, democratically controlled state, does this slave labor, and then doesn't if you pay your debt to society, you go to prison and you work as a firefighter, you're out on good behavior, you've paid your debt to society. And isn't it better for our society to say, hey, you paid your debt, now you can get a job with the fire department? Yep. But now ex-cons can't get jobs, so it's recidivism. They go back into the criminal life.
Right.
What else
and that's just one example. Most people that go into prison have trouble finding a job when they get out, because so many places, either they have, they're out of the workforce, so they don't have the skills, or maybe don't have a resume, maybe don't have a suit. Like, all those things matter. And then there's also some states you're allowed to find out if they're a convict or, an ex-con. And so they use that against them. So yeah, it's just incredibly difficult to get your life back together after you get out of prison. So you end up back in prison. I mean,
yeah.
And I think this is important about the courts. Angela Davis also wrote that that the false crimes, arresting people for nothing crimes, also served as a subterfuge for political revenge. After emancipation, the courtroom became an ideal place to exact racial retribution. In this sense, the work of the criminal justice system was intimately related to the extra-legal work of lynching. So really, the courts became like the more polite, more erudite way of lynching people, of destroying people's lives. So yeah, going on to number 7 is that a few people get filthy rich off of imprisoning millions of people.
No,
no,
it wasn't egalitarian. They're not sharing the wealth. I find that hard to believe.
Companies collect billions of dollars from the prison industrial complex. Some of these are private prisons, and many states have contracts where they have to keep the private prisons filled. They must find prisoners or they're breaching the contract. But much of the money made in prisons is not for private prisons. It's for all prisons. The corporations that do the food service, the corporations that do the clothing, all that shit. I covered one which was an incredibly, exploitative fraudster that I think it was called JPay, which was the main way that prisoners are able to call people using that service or whatever. And, it's like they're paying, if someone transfers money to them, they're like 30% of it goes to some company to allow a family member to transfer money to them. Like, it's just phenomenally exploitative. Oh.
They literally went, how can we stick it to these people every single way? Like north, south, east, west. How can we stick it to them? Charge them for this, make them earn with slave wages, then take a fee if the money's like just, and obviously when you have for-profit prisons, that means you need to create criminals to put in your prisons.
Yeah. You have to, and if you're running low, so you have a deal to have the prison 90% full, and it's only 90% full, and you're going to release people soon. What do? You tell your cops to get out there and find people, which is a lot of what policing is now in America. It is go out and meet your quota of people being arrested. And if the cops go out there and don't find people to arrest, meaning insert themselves in people's lives and try and find what they call crimes, then that cop will be viewed as not doing their job. Wow, you didn't arrest anybody in the last 3 days. What the fuck you been up to? And it's like, well, maybe there was no one to arrest. Maybe every person I saw was just walking down the street, but that's not acceptable.
Yeah, that's another thing when there's like, oh, there's no systemic racism in our legal system. Yeah, there is. Quotas. Just that alone is a problem. And all police departments have. And God, in Chicago, man, it was like the end of the month. Don't go a mile over the speed limit because if these cops are behind on their quotas, they're going to write up as many violation tickets as they can possibly find. It would happen.
Right.
You'd be going 37 and a 35 and they'd pull you over and you'd be like, you got to be kidding me. Well, it's the 28th. Yeah, that's why you got that.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's a standard thing.
All right, man. I'm realizing that I probably have about over a third of this left. So we either have to bump the next one the next time, or we can make this a 2-parter and skip to the drug war.
Why don't we keep this going? And then next one, we'll talk drug war.
Okay. Fine by me. So number 8, Black Americans are the most imprisoned people in the world. Now I know that people understand that we have a racist, prison here. You have more percentage-wise, far more Black people for the percentage of the population they are. But it's more than that if you compare it per 100,000. Like it's the understanding of like per capita really kind of hits you in a different way. So earlier I said the U.S. has 698 prisoners per 100,000. China has 121. If prison rates of African Americans were listed in the same way, they would have an incarceration rate of 1,500 per 100,000. Down from 2,300 just a decade ago. So pause for a minute and try to wrap your brain around that number. Black Americans have a rate of imprisonment that is over 12 times that of China. 1 in 3 black men between 20 and 29 are in some way right now subjected to our prison system, meaning they're either in prison, they're on parole, they're somehow connected to the prison system. 1 in 3 black men between 20 and 29. If prison rates of African Americans were listed alongside countries, they would have the highest rate in the world.
But there's no systemic racism. It's just a few bad apples, right? That's what we're supposed to believe.
The number of bad apples is astronomical. It is just incredible number of bad apples.
This is like, these numbers are overwhelming. And thanks to people like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they've helped make it happen.
Right. I mean, yeah, Kamala Harris, in her role as California's top cop, as she called herself, she wanted to arrest people for even less. She arrested people for their children being truant, meaning not showing up to school. So you have a fucking single mother who's trying desperately to deal with life and pay her bills, and the kid is skipping out on school, and now you got the parent in prison, the mother in prison. Like, what does that help? What is that? Does the kid end up better off? Does that mother, when she comes out of prison, end up better off?
It's just such, it's the level. I always want to quote Martin Sheen's character in Apocalypse Now. He's like, oh man, the bullshit stacked up so high, you need wings to fly above it. Like, it's staggering.
Yeah. Yeah. And the percentages are, so right now our prison state is 21% Hispanic, 38% blacks are in prison in America. The American population is 18% Hispanic and 13% black. So that's how much higher the prison rate is. But if you add in other non-white races, our prisons are filled with 65% people of color, which is pretty fucking crazy. So number 9 on the list, police departments have admitted to targeting people of color. Some people think, oh, it's just, theory, it's just conspiracy. But no, there's been times where they've been forced to admit it. One of the most obvious ones was New York's stop and frisk program, which, abducted young, mainly men of color who were doing nothing wrong, sometimes standing. I mean, there's examples detailed in Matt Taibbi's book of just people standing in front of their own apartment and being arrested for that. And they basically, the new NYPD would just grab people and frisk them and try and find a reason to arrest them. So like the polite liberal way of viewing this is like, well, the cops were like, let's arrest this guy for having an open beer. And, oh, he happens to be black. But that's not the truth. The truth is, let's arrest this guy for being black. Oh, he happens to have a beer with him. How convenient for us. It makes the paperwork easier.
Right.
New York City is 43% white, but only 7% of arrests for open alcoholic beverages are for white people. Because these are the type of crimes that are only used to grab people of color.
Yep. Oh yeah. They're never going to, if a bunch of white people hanging out in Central Park drinking wine, they're not going to arrest them, even though that's a violation according to their law. Like, they would never, ever, ever do that. And that's, again, more evidence that we have a clear systemic racism, and it's been going on for decades, really centuries, if you want to.
Well, it's well known, Graham, that like a beer in a bag is just far more criminal than like a white wine spritzer. Okay.
Yes. Some white lady with purple teeth singing too loudly and being annoying because she won't shut up. That's actually worse, in my opinion. That's more of a violence threat to society than a guy drinking a 40 out of a bag or just a can of beer.
because she's singing John Denver. I mean, that's rough.
And she keeps going, "Someone dance with me." Like, oh God. Like, can we lock them up? Like, I'm okay with that. If they just started locking up just like liberal wine moms, I'd be okay with that. Just put them up. They're a skirt. They're like gangs.
Listen, lady, you saw the sign when you walked into the park. There is no singing off key while dancing in a jerky manner. That is you spilling your wine. This is a clear violation. This
is a violation, ma'am. And constantly telling people to dance with you and take selfies is that's bad for society. So you're a threat to the decent human beings that are in this city, and we're going to lock you up.
Speaking of selfies, I don't know if you're with me on this. I just thought of a great idea for merch. Maybe you and I can sell this on the Government Secrets website that is heavily trafficked. It is, the giant like metal cutters that guys use to steal bikes, like you cut the U-locks. I want to sell those to cut selfie sticks.
Just sorry, click.
Yeah, like while they're mid selfie, you just slice that in two.
Just walk up. Nope. Hey, sorry. Click. We don't. Those are outlawed. Click.
And then with the Government Secrets logo on the side, they could just yell "Government Secrets, bitch!" and run off. Yeah.
Pew pew. Just fucking slice it. There you go. Well, everyone should be saying "Government Secrets, bitch!" like on a daily basis. That I want to happen.
Yeah, I want to make that like the new YOLO. Yeah, just Government Secrets, bitch. Like people bungee jumping, like right as they jump off.
Well, I want that on the Loch Ness Monster mayor of Atlantis re-election campaign should be Government Secrets, bitch.
Oh man, we definitely need a T-shirt with the Loch Ness Monster running for mayor. That is
mayor of Atlantis.
Mayor of Atlantis, yeah. That's all right. Number 10.
Number 10.
Prisons are not about rehabilitation. The goal of American prisons is no longer, if it ever was, about rehabilitation. Now their only goal is incapacitation. Many prisons have little to no education programs, very few books, internet access is often rare or expensive. Current inmate and longtime political prisoner Mumia Abu-Jamal said, and we should do a whole episode on him probably, said, quote, "What societal interest is served by prisoners who remain illiterate? What social benefit is there in ignorance? How are people corrected while imprisoned if their education is outlawed? Who profits, other than the prison establishment itself, from stupid prisoners?" And it's true.
I know. And then there's always those conservatives that go, "Oh, we should just give them, color TVs and let them sleep in water beds." Like, the thing they don't understand, if you're not getting rehabilitated, those people eventually get released and they're back into society. So if the goal is to keep our society safe, giving people education and job training in prison will prevent them from being repeat offenders.
Right.
If you just stick them in a jail, and basically what it is now is it's criminal college. They go to jail and learn more crimes because they're hanging out with criminals and there's nothing to do. And they have to do crimes in jail to survive. And then they get out and guess what? They do more crimes. So it's like, if you give people opportunities and a chance, most people are like, I don't want to be a criminal. I don't want to go through this hell. I'd rather have a nice, easy life. But we give them very little options and then create all these laws, as you've laid out, to incarcerate people for nonsense, especially if they're people of color. And the prison industry profits from it. So they need these criminals. And then it just gets worse and worse. And then we're sitting there, we're shell shocked that our society is collapsing. Like, gee, how did this happen? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. I just, I built the foundation of my house out of silly putty and cotton candy, and now it's collapsing. How could this happen?
Yeah, it's they do not want to improve prisoners' lives so that when they get out, they can get things back on track.
The goddamn ruling elites, they don't want to improve anybody's society. They don't want to, our society is not progressing to get better and better and better as we, I thought we were. We're not. The only people's lives are getting better and better are these soulless fucks that are going to pay Jeff Bezos $23 million to fly around in his goddamn pimp wagon space outfit, like his spaceship. Like, these people are the worst. The planet's collapsing. The countries are collapsing. And rather than spend their money to fix it, they're going to fly around a bunch of rich assholes who are too greedy and selfish to do anything about it. And they're the worst. I mean, these are awful, awful people. Like, they're horrible people. Don't revere any of Bezos or Elon Musk because they make cool technology that you like or use. They're awful, awful people.
Yeah, they're at minimum sociopaths. I mean, you don't get to that position if you're not a sociopath.
Yeah. Yeah. And we should do like a sociopath test for people. And if
oh my God, I've been a proponent of that for a long time. I've said every politician, absolutely sociopath test, without a doubt. And you could make a good one. You could make a pretty good one. And
if they pass it, we got a special camp for you. And there you go. We just like
you mean if they don't pass it, which one means you're a sociopath?
If they don't pass it, then we teach you how to be a better sociopath. That's what I'm talking about. Sociopath training.
Gotcha.
No, we should just like take the Hamptons and make it like Escape from New York, and just they build a wall around the Hamptons and never let them leave, and they just got to fend for themselves on Sociopath Island.
Yeah. We just see how long till the millionaires start eating themselves.
Yeah, let them eat themselves. And anyone that, so, Hunter Biden, you passed the sociopath test. We got a new spot for you in the Hamptons. And we just rope that part of the island off, and they never get off of it. And it's great.
So, number 11, and this one is, rough to think about, but while the Me Too movement has swept across the country, the prison industrial complex not only tolerates sexual assault, which obviously is rampant, but it also perpetrates it. Female inmates almost always find themselves the victims of strip searches by the guards, and often internal searches, which means exactly what you think it means. Here's another way to phrase this: state-sanctioned sexual assault. And it's used in much the same way that sexual assault has been used over the years, to make people feel humiliated and to make them feel powerless. So, it really is no different. I mean, if these guards did to these women what they do as a supposed routine search, if they did that and they didn't have a uniform on, they'd be serving jail time. I mean,
right.
So in that way, it is absolutely just state-sanctioned sexual assault.
Yeah, and always these female prisoners, they're always getting pregnant in prison, and we just like don't know how it's all immaculate conception. We have no idea how it happened. Like, it's yeah. Again, what type of a person wants to have a job as a prison guard? Like, who picks that job?
Some people. Graham, I mean, I guess as with police, but I think even more so with prison guards, some people pick it because they literally live in areas where they don't know how to get a job. Like, it's economic force again. I mean, it's kind of like people signing up for the military. It's like, why you know that some people know that our wars are not great, and they still sign up for the military because they're like, I can afford college. All right.
No, that's true. I mean, I definitely know that that's a fact. Is there are prisons out there, and it's like that there, and they pay decent money, $25, $30 an hour, or $12 an hour at the Walmart, or $10 an hour at the McDonald's, and those are the choices. Or deal opioids, be a drug dealer, and so it's like, well, like the private prison pays better, and it's good benefits and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's plenty of people who just like that's the only job they could get, and I totally get that. But then there's also people who are like, no, I can take advantage of people if I get this job. You know, it definitely is going to attract some of that. Just
so
like the Catholic Church.
Very similar to a lot of cops. It's like, right. it pays all right, and I get to have authority. I've never had authority in my life. I'm often they're losers in one way or another, and they realize this puts me above other people, and so it's a job where you get to have that power over other humans.
Yep.
All right, so two more left. Number 12. Prisoners have long been used for medical research, and it's not over. As Laura Appelman of Willamette University wrote, the standard narrative of human medical experimentation ends abruptly in the 1970s with the uncovering of the Tuskegee syphilis study. But my research shows, however, that this narrative is incorrect and incomplete. The practice of experimenting on captive and vulnerable people persists. So, yeah, the United States still has human guinea pigs.
Didn't the Nazis do this kind of shit?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And then, as we discussed on a previous episode, after World War II, we brought them over here to do it for us. So.
Yes, Operation Paperclip. Right on, baby.
Call back. Is it called a callback when it has to do with experimenting on humans?
Government secrets callback. Operation Paperclip plants the seeds for prisoner testing and abuse in our modern society. America getting worse.
All right, and last up, number 13, the mainstream media gets in on the action too. Corporate media perpetuates the idea that crime is always raging out of control, which then creates a fervor for harsher sentences among both the population and lawmakers. Angela Davis writes, even during years when homicide rates were cut in half, stories about homicides multiplied exponentially. So our media doesn't just manufacture consent for war, they manufacture consent for our catastrophic prison state. So, I mean, that's the thing is we talk about manufacturing consent a lot, and it is done by our media, our mainstream media. But usually we're talking about the endless wars. But the truth is, you wouldn't have America being the largest prison state in the world without our media telling us there's crime around every corner, and we have to lock everyone up.
Well, and it's not just the news media. I mean, you look at movies, TV shows. I mean, now the streaming services like, oh, these criminals are running rampant, and someone's got to take out the trash, like keeping everybody. Because when you get people afraid, they will sign off on a lot of awful shit to make themselves feel safe again, and they will do whatever they got to do to feel safe. It's like the Second Amendment. Like, well, I need a gun. There's all these criminals. It's like the crime is way down and you need that sense of security. Great. Now there's more random shootings. And the other thing too, not only is it just entertainment that stirs up the, fear and there's crime everywhere and we need more prisons and we need politicians that are tough on crime. There's also a story I did a year or so ago on my Political Vigilante. This record executive who remained anonymous said in the late 80s, the private prison got together a bunch of record executives and said, we really want to push gangster rap because gangster rap will actually help perpetuate violence in mainly the Black community, to glorify it, to make it seem cool. Because just like the gangster movies of the 20s and 30s made gangsters seem cool and tough, and we've always glamorized gangsters in this country, be they Italian, Irish, Black, Latino, whatever. We've always glamorized them. And so
are you saying average white guys can't be gangsters? Are you saying Jews can't be gangsters, Graham? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because then that's part of it too. That's like, you're tough if you're a gangster. So then there's this, to be a real man, I got to be a tough guy gangster. So there's plenty of white guy gangsters, and they've done Mickey Cohen and all that stuff to say, hey, every group has its tough guys, and so we're going to revere these tough guy groups. But specifically, the private prison industry set this up with a bunch of record executives to push gangster rap. So they created, that's why, like, you look at somebody like Public Enemy that came out in the mid to late 80s, had a lot of social commentary. And then late 80s to the 90s, the gangster rap went through the roof. And it was because the record industry made sure it got very popular and very profitable to glamorize. Not to mention then the CIA dumping crack cocaine into the black neighborhoods. So you had this whole like, oh, we're going to create more criminals. We're going to glamorize it in the media. We're going to let the news keep you terrified morning, noon, and night that there's criminal gangs.
And gangster rap served to terrify white America.
Yes.
That every black guy must have tons of guns and be firing just into the streets.
It helped feed that of like, oh, black men are criminals. Black men are scary. So call the cops. It's okay when the cops use excessive force. It's okay when they get harsher sentences. And the media has been very complicit in the white teenager that committed the crime. Boys will be boys. Slap on the wrist. Don't throw the book at him. The black teenager, oh, he's already a criminal. He's going to be the worst criminal. We better lock him up now. And so you see how complicit
as Hillary Clinton said, super predators,
super predators. Hillary Clinton said that, super predators. And the same way Kamala Harris has this famous speech from a couple of years ago that I've played on my show numerous times, where she goes, people come out with these little signs that say more schools, less prisons, more schools. And she's mocking people for that. Yeah. And then says, well, if there's one little problem I have here, why do I have to have all of these locks on my door? Because we don't have enough schools, jackass, you fucking parasite. So she pushes that crap too, but because she's a woman of color, people in her own community and others and women and liberals are going to be like, yay, diversity. And they're backing a woman who is just as awful and perpetuating all of these. She's put more black people behind bars than, just about anybody. Yeah. And so it perpetuates the whole thing. And she gets paid from the private prison industry to push this whole thing. So it's, you see the conspiracy, not even the conspiracy isn't the world. You see the coordination.
Yeah.
It's not a conspiracy is the theory. This is a coordinated event.
But I've seen the cop shows, and the cops are very good. Okay. They always get the bad guy every single time. They find the bite marks on the corner of the couch, and then they put it in the computer and it goes boop, 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 boop. And it finds the guy who bit the couch. So,
yep, that's it. CSI, NCIS, all of those. The cops are the good guys. Maybe one bad apple, they root them out.
And by the way, just to go back to the, making everyone think that there's a million murders going on. So we need more cops. We need more prisons. We need to arrest people. We need to lock people up longer. The vast majority of murders in America that aren't done by cops are people that the victim knew, someone the victim knew. Like a friend, family member. So if you want to be scared of murders, then start eyeing your friends. All right. start staring a little longer at your nephew. Okay.
Don't ever get married because your spouse is probably going to murder you. So that's yeah.
And there was some Dateline podcast that I listened to some episodes of, it was just about murders and about suspicious murders and things like that. Every single episode, the husband or the boyfriend did it. Never an exception. It was always the husband or the boyfriend. Every fucking time.
Everyone. And they're always like, their wife was going to find out about their affair. Just get a divorce.
Don't
why you going to murder everybody? What the fuck?
God, could you just ruin her life? Don't kill her. Jesus.
Don't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Just say,
easy. Easy.
I don't like you anymore. I'm dating a younger woman. Bye. Like that. That's pretty awful.
Smoke a joint and sit back. You don't need to chop her up and drop her off your fishing boat in the middle of the night.
And why do you have a fishing boat?
All right. So I'll just conclude with one final quote from Angela Davis. The prison functions ideologically as an abstract site into which undesirables are deposited. This is the ideological work that the prison performs. It relieves us of the responsibility of seriously engaging with the problems of our society, especially those produced by racism and increasingly global capitalism. That is what our prison does.
Yep. Follow the money, connect the dots. It's always the money will show you what it's all about. It's all about money and power. And, I mean, that's at the core of a lot of racism is it's like, oh, we need power, or we don't want these people to have power or whatever, because we're afraid. The powerful are the most scared bunch of little babies. They're afraid everyone's going to take all their little money and their special.
They're afraid of YouTube shows, Look at how much they're suppressing us and demonetizing us.
I know. My subscriber base has gone down 78 to 77,000 now. Like it's gone down. I'm in my 5th month of being demonetized. They throttle you. They throttle me. They're scared of us. They're scared of us.
I know I've told you that I'm like shadow banned on Facebook, but I don't know if some of the details are pretty, speaking of losing subscribers, some of the details are pretty funny. So basically after the last 2016 election, they froze my Facebook account that was at 335,000 followers. And it would only go down, even though it would tell me I gained so many followers this day or that day, it would only go down. And so it's trickled down for the past several years. And it was like at 329 or something. And one post I put up about how awful Jeff Bezos is just went crazy viral. Somehow it got past the algorithm. It got 80,000 shares, seen by millions. And my followers went up so fast that whatever thing they had locked on me couldn't stop it. So I ended up gaining back everything I'd lost over the past 4 years. And then they tanked it again over the following weeks. So basically the amount it'd taken me 5 years to lose, I lost in 2 weeks. It was like I got through the algorithm and then some human was like, wait a second here.
Unreal, man. It's really makes me, I'm half tempted to just shut down my Facebook and my Instagram, just to shut it down and go start using TikTok and still use Twitter until Susie Dawson finishes Panquake and then just be on those. That's what I feel like. But so is that it, or is there more? That's it for all of our horrible prison system?
Well, those are the ones I got. That's the 13 facts about prison, mind-blowing facts about prison. If people want the article, you want to share it with someone or something, I just tweeted it out. So it's at the top of @LeeCamp is my Twitter. And also, just a quick pitch for us here. We don't ask for money. You don't have ads on here. There's no, I don't stop and sell you a mattress or anything. So how about this? Everybody who's watching, listening, anything, take 3 seconds and email government secrets to someone, to a friend, a family member, tell them to check it out. That's it.
We keep the show completely free. On all platforms, mine, Lee's, it's free. It's never behind a pay. You can watch it whenever. Yeah. So just email it to a friend, put it on your social media, like it on whatever you're listening or watching, and, give it a positive review if it's like iTunes or whatever, and send it out to people. Spread the word on it, because nobody's doing a show like this.
And just buy our selfie stick cutter. Just buy that and we'll be doing pretty well.
And start saying government secrets, bitch, throughout your day. Anytime you point out a fact of how awful America is and has been, just say government secrets, bitch, and walk out of the room.
Yeah, that's key. You got to leave afterwards. That's key.
You got to exit. You got to stage left it, baby. You got to just so yeah, that's our show. That's Government Secrets, episode formerly 46, renumbered to 45.
And next week we hyped it up top. Next week we promised to give you the secret origins of the drug war.
Oh yes, we're going to celebrate. We're going to have a big 50-year anniversary of the drug war celebration next week. It's going to be great. We're going to get dressed up. Yep. I'm going to have a shirt with a little pocket on it
from Roth.
Lee's going to shit into a bowl of soup by his bed. You know what I mean? It's going to be.
It wasn't a bowl of soup. It was a soup bowl. There's a
soup bowl.
difference.
Okay,
Graham.
okay,
There's a big
right.
difference.
And hopefully we're going to get the Loch Ness Monster on to give us their campaign tips for being the mayor of Atlantis. It's going to be...
Yep. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one.
John Tesh is going to sing a song about unsweetened cashew milk. It's going to be all of our hits.
We're going to play the hits. Play the hits.
All right, dude. Well, where can people follow your business?
All right. All my stuff's at leecamp.com. New episode of Redacted tonight just came out, and that will be up at leecamp.com soon if it's not already. And so, yeah, just find me there, and the Twitter's at leecamp.
Sweet. Go to grahamelwood.com to get all my stuff. Political Vigilante. I got Political Vigilante merchandise. Ron Placona and I are putting together tour dates for September and October. We're going to start releasing probably by the end of June, beginning of July, some actual ticket links, and we're going to find a couple of government secrets live in there. We got to work on that. Maybe Lee will talk this weekend about specific dates and venues and stuff like that to lock that down. So Ron and I will be announcing tour dates, and we will be announcing government secret live shows, just a couple of them probably on the East Coast. So go to grahamelwood.com.
All right, man. Have a great week.
All right. Government secrets, bitch.
Government secrets, bitch. Later.
That was Lee Capper, everybody. That was an action-packed episode, ladies and gentlemen. When Graham and Lee are together, nothing is safe. Nothing is safe, ever. So if you have supported the show, go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood and sign up. It's free to sign up, free content, and you can tip the show. And I will read your tips like Thomas Dickinson. Shave your knuckles for justice. Thank you, Thomas. Very much appreciate you. Somebody got blocked by Anna Kasparian. Congratulations. That's a win. Tony DeMeo. Boom. Shave your knuckles for justice. Hey, Graham, would you ever interview Rose McGowan to expose Hollywood and enable rapists? Yes, I would love to do that. I know she's been on Jimmy, but I would absolutely love to interview Rose McGowan. I'll try to reach out to her because I got a lot of I don't know her personally, but I got a lot of respect for what she's done and the shit she's had to go through to expose how awful Hollywood is. So I would absolutely have her on my show. Thank you for that suggestion, Tony. Eric Designo, love government secrets. Boom. And we love doing it. Thanks for watching. When you all support the show and spread the word on it, we're only 45 in. It helps everything we're doing. So I very much appreciate that. Melissa H. What's up, Melissa? Thank you for making Gotham great again. Wall Street criminals never punished, but you can bet that with Wall Street criminals, recidivism is 100%. Boy, is that true. Nero Stray Singer. Sounds like an 80s metal band. Love it. Shave your knuckles for justice. Marie Garand. Hello, Marie. How are you? Brian, thank you for supporting our show. Shave your knuckles for justice. Tony DeMeo, ba-boom, making Gotham great again. I don't think Fox News or Howard Stern ever did anything more misogynistic than a segment on camel toes. I know. That's horrifying that they did that. I mean, that's like, and they sat down and mapped that out in a pre-production meeting in their newsroom and said, yeah, we're going to do this. That's unreal. Oh. Finish this movie. Ho, 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 ho. God, smoothies are great. I got more in the fridge. Yeah, that's right. MHC. Ba-boom. Double shaving knuckles. I understand those prisoner firefighters mentioned are likely not volunteers, but in my opinion, firefighters in general are some of the bravest people in society. And given what's coming with climate change, it's insane that we aren't getting as many people trained and serving in nonviolent civil defense roles as possible. I know. Well, because we're acting like, unfortunately, MHC, we're the government's and the main people in charge, the Biden administration, is doing all these incremental centrist maneuvers with regards to, we are in climate collapse, and they're still fumbling around like it's 1982 and we've got 30, 40 years to play with. No, we don't. We have 8 years. According to the UN that came out in 2018, we have until 2030. And if we don't drastically, and let me tell you something, these forest fires and everything, they're only going to get worse. The droughts are going to get worse. The floods are going to get worse. Climate refugee situation is going to get worse. Governments are going to get destabilized as a result of it. So if they want to keep Mickey Mousing around with this, like, oh, we're back in the Paris Accord. It's not going to work, man. There's so many things we need to be doing collectively as a society. And these meetings with like world leaders like Putin and the president of China shouldn't be about all this. It should be like, okay, we're not doing any more nukes. Here's what, like, if America was a bold leader rather than just Joe Biden are just puppets for corporations, just like Trump was, just like Obama, just like Bush, just like the Clintons. It would be like, here's what we're doing. We're disbanding our nuclear program. We're cutting our military budget. We're putting all this money into a Green New Deal. We are refocusing our military on saving the climate. All of our defense contractor companies, they're going to start putting all their R&D into technology that's going to save the environment. We're going all on, and we just did that, took the first step. Then we could go to Russia and say, you want to join us? We stopped being the aggressors with military bases all over the world. But we're still talking like Russia and China, even the UFO thing that came. I did a video on this like a week or so ago. The news reports of the video is like, is this, maybe it's Russia or China? Are these aliens hostile? Like it's insane. We should be like, the environment is collapsing. We need to do something. But honestly, when, downtown LA burns to the ground and the mayor's office burns to the ground and Washington, D.C. is underwater, then that's when they'll do something. Then they'll go, wow, maybe that's when it'll happen. But even then, I don't know. Bubblegum do shave your knuckles for justice. Thanks to Graham and Lee, as well as Kate and crew, to another wonderful Friday evening. Love you all. I'm not sure if anyone has suggested it yet, but why say TYT? Wouldn't it be much better and more fitting to just say, refer to it by the acronym TIT? That's funny, Bubblegum. Thank you. Melissa A.H. Shave your knuckles for justice. Important question. Are you and Lee going to officially endorse the Loch Ness Monster? Melissa H. We'll wait. Probably. I just got to know where Loch Ness stands on Medicare for all. That's my only thing. Scott Johnson, shave your knuckles for justice. Thank you, Scott. S Coin, shave your knuckles for justice. Hey, Graham, did you hear Jerome Powell starting inflation is in fact going to be higher than expected, stating inflation is in fact going to be higher than expected, despite saying it wasn't going to happen for months? I did not hear that specifically, but it doesn't shock me, because we started talking about this last summer when I had Christy I on the show. She's like, Graham, all this money printing, this is bad. We're going to have inflation. You can't keep doing this. I mean, she said companies last summer were betting against the dollar. And it's already happening. Inflation is happening. Just go to your I just went grocery shopping. Just go grocery shopping. Go buy stuff you normally buy and compare the price to the last time you bought 2 weeks ago, a month ago. Look at gas prices. Inflation is happening. You can't print trillions of dollars. I mean, it's insane, man. That's fine. All right. S-Coin. Shaving Knuckles for Justice. Do you think we'll have 1970s levels of inflation? That's a great question, S-Coin. I don't know. It's hard to say because we've never been in this situation. We've never had a 100-year pandemic shut down the economy. I mean, there wasn't the last time there was a pandemic this bad. There wasn't a global economy the way we have now. I don't know. And then the printing of money is like, it could be insane. The inflation could be just insane. And I mean, now you've got like all the rental car companies sold all their rental cars, and now there's a chip shortage. So there's no used car prices are going through the roof. There's not enough people selling their homes. So there's housing prices are going through the roof nationwide. I mean, some markets might be different than others, but overall nationwide, it's like that. The housing bubble is going to crash. All these bubbles are going to come down. It does not look good, man. I don't know. I have no idea if it's going to be like the 70s, but I know it's not going to be good. I know that. We might have a repeat of the housing crisis of 10 years ago, 2008, 9. Interest rates are lower and lower. Like, it's MHC, what's up? What also bugs me about climate change is that I can't talk to anyone in real life about how concerned I am. People I know either don't want to think about these issues or are more in the liberal camp. Yeah, because they just go, yeah, well, boy, we got to do something about that. Or what? Like nobody wants to, but it's going to keep happening. I mean, I told you how bad the fires were last year. They're going to happen again. Like, look at the high heat we've already had. It's June. Usually it doesn't get the heat waves don't hit this, North America till like August, it's June. We've already had record heat. I mean, the West is going to be up. There's going to be massive brush fires this late summer and fall in the West. I don't know when people are going to wake up to it. Oh, here's the thing. If you can disagree in the chat with each other, but if you start insulting, that's stupid, you're an idiot, then I'm gonna block you. That's how that's gonna go. S-Coin, shave your knuckles for justice. So give all this socioeconomic strife, the government and security state is going to start another war. China, maybe? Yeah, it could be. I mean, they keep talking China. They're trying to blame, the virus on China, the UFOs on China and Russia. Yeah, when there's economic strife and people go in the streets, like when the housing crisis happens and people start losing their homes and getting evicted, and they're going in the street and they're going to start turning on the government and the police and stuff like that, that's when all of a sudden there's going to be some false flag and everybody rally around to go fight China. They'll probably do some tactic like that. I wouldn't be surprised at that, because, you know, everyone's kind of trying to forget, like, or just pretend like what happened January 6th was just like, oh, it was a crazy event. And the FBI, their fingerprints are all over it. And the protests of last summer, and everyone's kind of like, oh, that's all gone. That's done, you know? And it's like, when the economic collapse happens, people are going to be pissed off. They're going to be scared. They're going to be losing their homes, losing their retirement. People are going to be living on the street and shit. And it's going to get ugly. And, you know, you got to remember historically, so the Boston Massacre led up to the Revolutionary War, but it wasn't immediate. The Boston Massacre happened, and I think there was like a two year of peace. The Boston Massacre, basically English troops shot some people that were protesting in Boston and was nicknamed the Boston Massacre. And people were really pissed and they didn't like the English soldiers. This is before the Revolutionary War. But then there was relative peace for 2 years. And then other events happened and the Revolutionary War started. I'm not a huge expert on the details of the Revolutionary War, but I just learned that the Boston Massacre, there was 2 years of peace before So what happened at the Capitol and what happened last summer, all right, might have a year or two, COVID's over, everyone's back to normal, yay. We have a mass shooting every week. Cops are killing on average 3 people a day. People just want to get back to life, go travel, and I get all that. We've all been cooped up for a year and a half. The stimulus money runs out. The housing moratorium is ending this month, I believe. The unemployment ends in September, which is 3 months from now. That's going to take another 30 to 90 days for that effect. So you're talking about by fall, end of the year, November, December, maybe January is when all this housing stuff is going to happen. And people might go back to the streets then. I don't know. Don't know. But they'll try everything. Those in power. Harry C. Smith. Shave your knuckles for justice. Saw the Ayatollah's national address before today's presidential election in Iran, employing all the Iranian people to go to the polls and vote for whomever they support out of 4, originally 7 candidates. Some dictator, huh? Yeah, right. I know. The evil, harsh dictator of Iran. Not that the Iranian government is, you know, a bunch of whatever, peaceniks, but again, go and vote. 4 legitimate candidates, 4 legitimate I know we have no ground to, yeah. No, as Cohen, we don't learn from history. Kate, shave your knuckles for justice. My conservative friends are saying that we need to focus our military on Russia and China. Oh, it's insane. Sounds like a recipe for disaster. I'm generally not a fan of politicians. The Russians' Navy saved U.S. soldiers' lives when the Israelis were bombing the SS Liberty in 1967. The Israelis stopped because they were witnesses. Secretary of Defense McNamara wanted it on the ocean floor. Thanks for a great show. Thank you, Kate. Melissa H. Shave your knuckles for justice. I said a while ago that the oligarchs will find a way to manipulate and control crypto. Musk proved me right. It's only the first volley. They will get better at it. There's always been my concern about crypto. They learn to take over and control Wall Street. They will do the same with crypto. That's a legitimate critique. And yes, they have manipulated it. But they've tried to drop the price below 30,000 and it won't. People kept buying in. And more people are not paying attention to Elon Musk. Yes, they can come in and try to buy up as much as they can. Absolutely. But eventually they're buying it to drive the price up because they know they can't stop it. They can't Bitcoin can't go bankrupt. The government can't seize it. Yes, they can manipulate it. Absolutely. But they can't just destroy it like they can do with traditional businesses. And people are like holding on to it longer and not selling off as much. So Green Hill, shave your knuckles for justice. Mass Health sent my mom a letter threatening to take the house. Oh God, once she dies, nursing home to pay for her medical bills. It'll be the only wealth I'd inherit. What's the point of insurance then? Yeah, I know. And I'm sorry to hear that, Green Hill. That's why our system is so awful. It's the number one reason people file for bankruptcy in America is medical debt. And again, all the collateral damage that you're talking about, potentially losing your home. Yeah, which is how you pass along wealth if you're not a really wealthy person. But hey, your mom bought a home back in 30, 40, 50 years ago, and now it's gone up in value. Leave it to you. And there's a little money to pass along. You can sell that house, rent it, whatever. And this is what they want to do. The healthcare companies want to lean on your house for not paying medical bills. It's such bullshit. We have such an awful system, and people really want to spend more money on military to fight China and Russia. People are getting evicted and foreclosed upon because they can't afford medical bills. 68,000 people die because they don't have health insurance. It's a ridiculous system. And I'm sorry you're having to go through that. I really am. S-Coin, shave your knuckles for justice. I have an idea for a future government secrets episode, perhaps going back to colonial times. Bacon's rebellion, for example, was multiracial revolt against the elite in the South. Before that, white indentured servants weren't taught to be racist. After the rebellion, I believe intermingling was outlawed. Wow, that's a great one, Bank. Thank you for that, S-Coin. I'll look into that. People need to pay more critical attention to Klaus Schwab. Right on. Kate, our moderator, shave your knuckles for justice. Sorry, I missed part of the story. The Russians Navy rolled up on the Israelis bombing the SS Liberty to create a false flag in 1967 to blame Egypt and start a war. The Israelis dropped napalm on the ship and shot at sailors escaping in life rafts. God, a war crime. Thanks for a great show. Wow. Thanks for telling us that, Kate. It's amazing. It took Trump's presidency for me to wake up to how ghoulish the USA government and corporate structure is. Yep. Yeah, someone's suggesting you might want to sell the house, Green Hill, and take the profit. Then they can't take it. That's one option, man. Take the profits now while the housing market is really high is one option you've got. I mean, do your own research. I don't know your situation, but that is an option because the housing market is going to come down at some point. So that's something to think about. Yeah, they can't stop you from selling it. They said, we're going to put a lien on it and talk to a lawyer and an accountant, of course, but that could be an option. MHC, shave your knuckles for justice. Not a realistic proposal, but I otherwise wish we could cover with red colored light everywhere in the US that will become uninhabitable due to climate change, and orange or yellow for places that will be negatively affected by climate refugees, but might still be technically livable. Well, we don't have that, but one thing you could do is go to the NOAA website, NOAA. It's a government website, and I've done this before on the show. There's an interactive map that shows you with rising sea. This is a government website, not a non-for-profit environmental website. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, I believe it is. So it's NOAA.gov, I believe. And they have this interactive map, and you can put the year, and they're showing rising sea levels, and then they show what parts of the coast are going to be underwater by the year 2030, 2040, 2050. 2040, it doesn't look pretty. So most of the East Coast, all the coastlines, anywhere from a mile to 10 miles inland, are going to be uninhabitable. A third of the United States population is on the East Coast. So this is a show. I did this. I had Snork Y2K on the show a couple years ago, and he brought this to our attention. And a third of the U.S. population is on the East Coast. So if all those people have to relocate, where are they going to move? Inland. And he pointed out the fact that Warren Buffett's company started buying up all this property in like Iowa and the middle of the country, because they're like, there's going to be a bunch of refugees. So there's 330 million people. So if a third of the people live on the East Coast, that means 100 million some people live on the East Coast. So if New York's uninhabitable and Philly and all that, you're talking about tens of millions of people are going to have to move. Where are they going to go? Because of last year, California, for the first time in I don't know how long, maybe ever, has recorded a population decline. And more brush fires is going to bring about more. So there is what you can, it doesn't do all the things that you're suggesting the map should do, MHC, but I would go to that NOAA and check it out. Here it is. Marie Grant put it in the chat on Rockfin, and I will do it. Climate prediction. I will put it in the YouTube chat. YouTube and Facebook. Go to this website. This will give you that. This basically gives you a pretty good outline of what you're asking for, MHC. And thank you for putting that up there, Marie. Really appreciate it. So you guys are so great. We're all work together, coming up with ideas and solutions. It's great. Discussions, even healthy debates are good. Hit the like button. 394 likes. Let's get that over 400 right now. Do it. Do it to it. I am not invested in XRP. I've heard, I know a little bit about it, but not that much. Some of us third worlders preferred Trump over Hillary for that precise reason. If you're going to punch me, at least don't do the classic stop punching yourself. With Trump, U.S. imperialism was made clear to everyone. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. S-Coin, shave your knuckles for justice. What do you think? Why do you think we don't have presidents like FDR or JFK anymore? Well, FDR, they murdered. Or no, JFK, they murdered. I mean, FDR, the capitalists were like, we can never have a guy like this again. And they really fought to undo his New Deal for decades. And JFK was anti-war. So they killed him, and then they killed his brother for thinking about anti-war. And we've had nothing but clowns ever since. Carter tried to be anti-war. They got him out of there in one term. I mean, the ruling elites, the people that really run the world, and these two political parties, Republicans and Democrats, are just puppets. Both those parties are just a bunch of puppets. They control everything. That's why anyone who runs on a populist anti-war message gets crushed. Dukakis, Dennis Kucinich, Bernie, I mean, they get crushed or co-opted. I mean, that's just how it happens. So they don't want someone. They killed, look, the CIA killed JFK. Watch our 3-part series on government secrets. It's all based on the book JFK and the Unspeakable, a book I'm currently reading because thanks to one of you sent it to me. That's why. So you even get close, they say they stop you. If you're somebody like JFK or FDR, you can't even get close. I mean, Hillary's a warmonger. That's why she got close. Trump's part of the war. Trump's a war machine. He did a good job in his marketing to working class white people to sound populist. But he's friends with the Clintons. He's a billionaire. He's a rich kid. He didn't, I mean, look what he did for 4 years. Tax breaks for billionaire buddies. He didn't bring jobs, but he didn't do any of that crap. He just kept the war machine going. So it's almost impossible for somebody like that with true ethics that wants to make the world a better place to get close. They will never even let you get close. If I ran for president and I had a bunch of money behind me and people backing and I started to get close, like people were voting for me. And I mean, look, Ross Perot made a deal with not that he was some popular, but I mean, like they buy you or they smear you or they just flat out kill you. And part of the like obvious CIA involvement in the assassination of JFK is the CIA going, hey, shut your mouth and get in line. That's what that was about. It's like so obvious that this was an assassin. This wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald. There's just too much overwhelming evidence. And that's kind of like it's like a mob threat. Like, yeah, it's too bad. You might fall down and break your kneecaps. Like this guy broke his kneecaps. It's a veiled threat. Hey, anybody out there who wants to make the world a better place, we'll put one between your fucking eyes with a moving bullet and everyone will believe it. We'll cover it up. The Warren Commission, there's nothing you can do. People who would, and Lee covered this, and Lee and I covered this in talking about JFK and the unspeakable. People had eyewitness accounts to verify that it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald on so many different levels. And then people started dying and they're like changing their stories. Nope. Because they flat out said, if they can kill the president, who am I? So it was a power play to say, stay in line. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Unfortunately, that's why. Thomas Franco, shave your knuckles for justice. Thank you for supporting our show. Very much appreciate it. Well, I got to get rolling here soon. What do you think about Algorand? Also, do I go all in on Bitcoin or Ethereum? I don't know much about Algorand. I will tell you my portfolio is mostly Bitcoin and then Ethereum. I have a little bit of Litecoin, a little bit of Cardano. And then I have what I call a lottery ticket coin of a bunch of crypto.com's coin, CRO. But my Bitcoin, I'm going to hang on for the long haul. And I even bought a little of this dip. I'm hanging on to Bitcoin for the long haul. Ethereum, if the price goes way up above 10 or 20,000, like they're saying it might, I'll probably cash 80% of it out and maybe buy property or something like that, move it into, just because it's good to realize profits. But Bitcoin, I mean, you watch Max Kaiser, Bitcoin they can't change it. It stands alone. Ethereum and some of these altcoins I think are good and potentially could go better, but I always view the altcoins as like stocks. Like Bitcoin, I view like gold. It's the best asset, it outperforms every other asset, and it has every year. And it's a hedge against inflation, and they can't shut it down or any of those things. Ethereum and the other altcoins are technologies. I view those sort of like stocks or tech stocks or something. Like they might do great, they might go bankrupt. You don't know. Bitcoin can't do that because it's like digital gold. Whereas the altcoins are like you're investing in like technologies, and so they're all different. That's how I view it. But I would get way knowledgeable about, and I'm not a paid financial advisor, so this is, I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just telling you this is what I'm doing. And I would, if you're new to the crypto space, get more knowledgeable. I've been paying attention for about a year. I'm no expert, but I know more than I did a year ago. And watch shows like Crypto Casey, BitBoy Crypto, The Moon, Boom Bust on RT. Watch Max Kaiser, Crypto R Us, I think, is a show I've watched a little bit here and there, and a couple other shows I've watched. Yeah, so get more knowledgeable. And a lot of people recommend put 5 to 10% of your assets into, Bitcoin. That can't hurt. So that's what I think. Hope that helps. MHC, politics or song lyrics? Sick and tired of this world. There's no more air. Tripping over myself, going nowhere. Those are song lyrics, I think, MHC. And they're hidden in plain sight. Snowden's own words. Yep, that is true. All right, I'm going to roll. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. We got 424 likes. I love it. I love it. I took most of my portfolio out of an exchange and into a multi-coin wallet. Yeah, I would recommend moving most of yours onto a cold wallet as well. I keep some on some exchanges, but most of it is on a cold wallet. Yeah, go to Nay's Garden. He's next. A bunch of people are going live. Check it out. Lee Camps on America. RT America right now. Sweet. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Those fingers in my hair. That sly, come hither stare. Those strips my conscience, bear its witchcraft. And I've got no defense for it. And it's you and her head. Hear what's good coming in here. 'Cause it's Jeremy. Jeremy spoke today. How here. And although I know it's strictly even flow, and you are rousing me, my heart says, proceed with what you're leading me here. It's such an nation here. But what I hold in switch, don't call me daughter. Oh, even flow like a wrong red daughter. Got a little Baney in there. 'Cause it's witchcraft. It's crazy witchcraft. And although I know it's strictly her, when you my heart says here. Proceed with what you're eating. It's such an ancient pitch, but one I'll never real. 'Cause there's no nicer hitch than here. Here, how, 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 how. Eddie Vedder singing Witchcraft, ladies and gentlemen. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Birch, Shaving Knuckles for Justice. We are fighting here too, Graham. Good luck, brother, and kicking knowledge. Thanks. You got it, my friend. MHC, boom, correct, Graham. Preemptively wins the next game show episode. Surprisingly, though, it's not a political song. Ooh, thank you, MHC. Thank you for supporting everything. Sinatra with a cold. Thanks, everybody. I will be back Monday, 5 o'clock Pacific time for the Rockfin Premium members, Graham's Late Night Crypto Lounge every Monday. 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern, Graham's Late Night Crypto Lounge only on Rockfin. Sign up for that. Have a great weekend, everybody. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody watching on the Facebook and on Rockfin, and of course on the YouTube. We're still demonetized, so support our show the best way that you can. Rockfin, patreon.com, and all of those places. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday.